Alright, welcome everyone. We're going to go through the Unit 4 review here. I'll move kind of quick. So this was the review that you worked on in class. I gave you guys the option of doing this on the whiteboards or doing the paper copy. You'll get 10 points if you do this and turn it in, but really the reward here is that if you do all these problems correctly, you should be able to ace this test here on Wednesday or Thursday. Alright, so first one here, all you're asked to do is label the hypotenuse, which is here, longest side directly across from our 90-degree angle. The opposite side, so opposite side is the one that is just on the opposite side from our reference angle. And then we have our adjacent side is our other one here that touches the angle. Alright, that's all we're doing on the first one. Next one, we're just evaluating each of these statements to see if they are true. So I'm going to go ahead and mark P as my reference angle, since that's the reference angle we're using in our trig ratios. Opposite will be over here. We got adjacent right here. And then hypotenuse is going to be our longest side there. Alright, so they say that the sine of this angle should be 3/5. If we check our reference chart here, sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So let's check to see if that is true. Opposite value of 3, that is not true, so our opposite value should be 4, so this is wrong. Alright, next one, they say the cosine of that same reference angle is 3/5. We'll check this again. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that should be 3/5, and it is, so that one's good. Alright, next one, tangent of P equals 3/4, so we should know that tangent is opposite over adjacent, so opposite 3, that is not true, the opposite is 4, so right away that one is wrong. Next one, find all the side lengths and angles. They want us to find side AC first, so I'm going to mark that with an X. I'm also going to label this thing here as my opposite side, so my opposite side is X. The other side that I'm going to label is 9 down here, so I want to label the side that I want to know, and I want to label the side that I already know, and that's going to be adjacent. And we should know that when we're working with opposite and adjacent, that is tangent. So we're going to take the tangent of our angle, 57 degrees, is going to be equal to opposite on top, that's our X, and then adjacent on bottom, that's our 9. And then we are going to set up this ratio here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick a 1 down here. So that's going to let me do my cross multiplication. So I got 1 times X is X. Tan 57 times 9 is tan 57 times 9. Alright. And then I'm going to check my key here. Just 1 second. So that should give us 13.86. So tan 57 times 9 will give us 13.86. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of this here. I'm going to go again, so this time I'm going to find side AB. Okay, so looking for side AB here. If I know that this is 13.86, I can actually use Pythagorean theorem to solve this next one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I could also use trig, but this time I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem tells us that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that is one of the short legs of the triangle squared plus the other short leg of the triangle squared will give me c squared. So it doesn't matter what order we do this in, as long as we make sure that our hypotenuse goes over here. So we have 9 squared plus 13.86 squared equals c squared. 9 squared plus 13.86 squared is going to give me around 273.1. So that is not c, that is c squared. So very important that we remember our final step here. We have to take the square root. So taking the square root of c squared just gives us c. Again, this is c that we're looking for here. And the square root of 273.1 is around 16.52. Alright, and then finally finding angle A. Remember, there's 180 degrees in every triangle. In a right triangle, we've already gotten rid of 90 of those degrees, so we have 90 left over. And then if we do 90 and take away 57, which is our other angle here, the complementary angle is 33 degrees. Okay, so as simple as that, 90 minus 57 gives us 33 degrees. All right, next one, so number 4 here, this is kind of a long one. So triangle 1, we have beta as an angle, we have alpha as an angle, those are just those weird symbols there. We have the same angles, so beta and alpha again in our second triangle. So these two angles are congruent here, beta and beta. These two angles are congruent here, alpha and alpha. So we know by angle-angle similarity that these two things are similar. So two angles congruent tells us that we have similar triangles. Next one here says alpha plus beta. All this is getting at here is if we take alpha right here and add it to beta, that is going to be equal to 90 degrees. So the two smaller angles of a right triangle always add to 90 degrees. All right, down here we have some similarities statements, or I should say proportions here to set up. So we have P over R. I'll go ahead and highlight that here. So we got P over R equals blank over blank. Well, this is the hypotenuse of triangle 1 over the left side of triangle 1. And that is going to be equal to the hypotenuse of triangle 2 over the, over the left side of triangle 2. So we're just setting up some proportions here. So hypotenuse over left side equals hypotenuse over left side. Hypotenuse here is C, and left side is B. All right, next one we have P over C equals W over blank. So we got P over C now. So we got hypotenuse over hypotenuse equals W over blank. And what that means is we have the hypotenuse over the hypotenuse equals bottom over bottom. So this is going to be A down here. All right, next one, triangle 1, cosine of alpha equals blank. So I'm going to scroll it just a little bit here so we can see a little bit better. All right, so we're just going to set up these guys quickly here. Cosine of alpha equals adjacent down here, hypotenuse here. So remember, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that is going to be W over P. All right, for triangle 2, cosine of alpha equals, once again, adjacent down here over hypotenuse here, A over C. Next one, we're looking at the sine ratios here. So the sine of alpha equals, now we're going to switch to opposite because sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So we got R over P, and then we have B over C. All right, last one. So we got the tangent of alpha equals, so you can see this here. Nope. All right, so tangent deals with opposite and adjacent. So we got R over W, and then we have opposite B over adjacent A, B over A. All right, so just quickly setting up those ratios there. All right, so now to some real life or closer to real life scenarios here. We got somebody flying a kite. We have a reference angle of 27 here, and we want to know how high this thing is. So I'm going to put a box around the thing that I want to know. I'm going to put a box around the thing that I know, and I'm going to label. So my hypotenuse is 30 feet. My opposite side, because we're opposite from our angle here, is X. So since we're working with opposite and hypotenuse, that must mean that we are talking about sine. So we got the sine of 27 degrees equals opposite X over hypotenuse 30. I'll change my colors here just to match. Okay, and like always here, we are going to want to turn this into a fraction. So we have a fraction on both sides. We are then going to multiply. So cross multiply, 1 times X is just X. Sine 27 times 30 is sine 27 times 30. And that you're going to punch into your calculator. So once you get your variable all by itself, you know that you are ready to punch this into your calculator and solve, and that is going to give you 13.6 feet. So the answer here is 13.6 feet. All right, next one. So number 6, find the measure of missing sides and angles. So let's go ahead and start by finding this value of x here. All right, so we can actually go the easy route here. So we have 2 sides that we know, so we can do Pythagorean theorem, 10 squared plus 3 squared equals x squared. So the short side squared plus the other short side squared will give us our longest side squared, or our hypotenuse. 10 squared plus 3 squared will be 109. And again, that's not a final answer. We have to make sure to take the square root at the end. So we're going to take the square root of 109, take the square root of x squared, and that's going to leave us with x equals approximately 10.4. So rounding to the nearest tenth is going to give us 10.4. Right, then we're going to find the measure of each of the acute angles. So the acute angles are the 2 smaller angles here, so alpha and beta. And we are going to use inverse trig for one of them. Let's go ahead and do alpha first. So we know that the opposite side from alpha is going to be 10. The adjacent side is going to be 3. And the inverse trig function that uses opposite and adjacent is going to be inverse tangent, or arctan. Alright, so the inverse tangent of opposite 10 over adjacent 3 is going to give us our angle here. Again, we are ready to punch that thing into our calculator right away. Inverse trig is nice and quick. And that is going to give us 73 degrees. So 73 degrees is going to be our angle here. Alright, so now if we move on to our other angle, beta here, that's going to be a lot quicker. Remember, all we have to do is 90 minus our first angle to get our second angle, which is 17 degrees. So only do inverse trig once. The second one should come nice and easy. We're just doing 90 minus that angle measure. Alright, next one here, we are going to try to find an angle measure again. So whenever you're looking for an angle measure, you are doing inverse trig. So let's go ahead and label our sides here. We got our opposite side is 9. We got our adjacent side is 125. Once again, we're working with opposite over adjacent, so that is going to be inverse tangent. Opposite 9, adjacent 125. And we are going to solve for angle B and round to the nearest degree. Okay, so that is going to give us 4 degrees. Alright, next one here, and we have replaced this one. So in our review, this is going to be a different problem. Let me just check here. So our review says Jacob stands 30 feet away from a building that is 40 feet tall. So we're going to go ahead and draw our right triangle here. Again, this is a different problem than the one that you're looking at. So 30 feet away from a building that is 40 feet tall. I'm going to go ahead and label my sides here. And then we want to use inverse trig to find the angle of elevation. That's going to be this angle here. So that is going to be the inverse tan. So once again here, we're working with the opposite side. We're working with the adjacent side. Inverse tan of 40 over 30. And that is going to give us our answer for that angle. Alright, number 9 here, so consider the triangle picture below. We're looking for the measure of the hypotenuse first. We got A and we got B, so we can use Pythagorean theorem here. Again, one of the short sides squared plus the other short side squared will give us C squared. Alright, let's check my notes here. And 10 squared plus 24 squared is going to give us 676. Again, that is equal to C squared. We need to take the square root, and we should find that to be 26. This is 26 meters long. Alright, and then they want us to use the triangle angle sum theorem to find the missing angle. All the triangle angle sum theorem is that we are aware of 180 degrees being the measure of all these angles put together. 180 minus 90 minus 67.4 is going to leave us with 22.6 degrees. Alright, last one here, we are going to find the measure of all sides using either trig functions or Pythagorean theorem. So we can't use Pythagorean theorem yet because we just have one side to work with, so we're going to have to start with trig. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here a little bit. Alright, so using our reference angle here, we have the adjacent side, and that is it. So we can choose either one of these other sides. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one here, which is the opposite side. So we're working with opposite, we're working with adjacent. Again, I could have used hypotenuse as well. I just chose this one. And that means I'm going to do the tangent of 10 degrees equals opposite x over adjacent 15. Stick this over 1, and I'm going to cross multiply. 1 times x gives me x. Tan 10 times 15 is just tangent of 10 times 15 for now. Alright, and that is going to give me 2.6. So tangent of 10 times 15 should give me 2.6 meters in this case. So now that I have this side length, I can do Pythagorean theorem. So I can do 15 squared plus 2.6 squared equals c squared. If you add these guys up and take the square root, that is going to give you a hypotenuse of 15.23. Alright, and then finally here, we are just going to find our missing angle here, so our third angle. As always, we're just going to do 90 minus our first angle of 10, and that is going to give me 80 degrees. Alright, hope this helped everyone. Make sure to come to Flex if you have any other questions, and good luck.